Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Yesterday, Old Town San Diego, they celebrated the Day of the Dead. And the displays, well, they look like right out if you saw the movie Coco. Just everywhere. And if you saw that movie, you saw the huge proliferation of these flowers, marigolds. And up here, this is my rendering of Aztec masks. It all has to do with this. So you definitely want to get the Day of the Dead in there. And then I'm going to do a story that's going to go with my illustration here, the owl. Owls seem to have come to be regarded in sort of a negative way, you know. There was even a movie, I heard the owl call my name, is like that's a portent of death. But really there's a much earlier, whole different version. In the mother cultures, matriarchal cultures, which certainly was the ancient or pre-Catholic Celtic people, all in all, and all through Native America, as far as I know, are all matriarchal cultures. We have a whole different theme regarding the passing of life. Starting there at the first of the year, when the light is born, this is really, you know, the inception of her pregnancy, and we and all of life with us is in her term, and we live through, you know, the lunar months, you know, until now to the end of the parturition, like that. And instead of dying, we are being born. We are being born into her. So this has a whole different reference. And the idea of the owl is really more like, I think the Roman Mercury, you know, ushers us into Shinar. Shinar is the Celtic name for the ancient land. So we're always returning, and that's what the Romans kind of found out when they were combating with the Celtic warriors. There was no fear in the Celts, and they had to figure out why. Because if you die, you're just going to come back again. So the Romans had to do away with the Druids, but it still didn't work. And anyway, here in my illustration, this is an actual place in Nevada. The story is actually ancient Celtic and Navajo. I actually found it in Navajo. And it very much, you know, shows what I'm always saying, that the Navajos of Arizona, or they're not the name, they seem to be the Celtic Americans themselves. And the place that this actually is in Nevada, a place we call Winnemucca, which is the parallel to Pyramid Lake. Winnemucca is an Arabic word actually for one moccasin. And in the story, the owls actually live in the cave under the big rock. And this is exactly that place. It's exactly what it looks like. And when me and Vivian first came there was the great horned owls living there. And it's also was an ancient burial cave as well. And across from that, this I figured is what I call the temple. And it's all engraved with ancient goddess signs, symbols, and all of that. And there in Wadsworth, right across from where Vivian, just west of her, there is this cinder cone, as I would call it, big conical hill. So that's how it's referred to in the story, as the hill that looks like an anthill, basically, like that. And this is the old man owl, old woman owl. Here, this is my exact replica of a wooden piece that was found in what they call the Cave of Spirit Man, which is really, you know, over by Fallon. And it was actually the mummy, it's a mummy, was actually found in the 1940s. But it wasn't until very recently, almost by accident, that Amy Dancing, anthropologist at the museum in Carson, did a DNA on it, and they found out it was 10,000 years old, this mummy. And I've seen, you know, the piece I've replicated here exactly, and everybody figures that it is an owl. So the idea that even 10,000 years ago, the owl definitely had something to do with you passing over to the other side. So here's old woman owl and old man owl, and here's the ant, Shinnig, there. definitely the idea is that when we go to Shinar, we may be figured as an ant, Shinik, like that. So it starts out with the cave underneath the big rock. And old man owl is saying to old woman owl, well, I'm going to go out hunting, and I'm going to go down there by that hill that looks like an ant hill. So old man owl, he flying down there, it's about 50, 60 miles, good flight. He comes down there, and so that's where he's hunting around that hill, and he's hearing something like a baby, you know, wah, wah, wah. So it sounded like that. So he's looking around, and there's, you know, like a rabbit hole there. And he looks in there, and there's somebody in there. So he reaches in there. He begins to tug and tug and tug, you know, until, you know, he pulls them out, you know, lays them on the ground. Little feller like that got kind of stretched in the middle from all that tugging like that. He said, well, you know, where did you come from? You know, where did somebody leave you? I'm going to have to take you home to old woman owl. So up he does, and he takes the little shinnig over there to the cave under the big rock. Old woman owl said, say, you know, what do you got there anyway? Well, I found this little shinnig over there, you know, in the hole. Well, what are you going to do with it anyway? So, well, anyway, I think you're going to take care of it. So they took him in. They give him little furs and things to dress him up with, and give him a little bit of broth, you know, kind of go like that. He's growing along. And old man makes him a little bow and arrow, kind of shows him how to hunt some little things. And everything the old man, you know, hunts and finds, he comes and he puts it into. They have, you know, like a pot that's always cooking, glug, 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 and you always put it in a pot. In the meantime, this little guy getting bigger, you know, they kind of dress him in rabbit skins that they get and like that. So that's how it's going along. Eventually, one time, the old man, he caught a snake. He caught a snake, and he came in and he put that snake there into that cooking pot, and then went away. And that little shindig, you know, he went up there and he sipping on that soup, you know, that was cooking there, like that. And you tasted that. When old man owl came back in there, he saw that little shindig. Man, his eyes were open like that. Oh, now you're awake. Now you are wise. Now you know something. So now I'm going to take you back to where I found you. So he picks up the little feller and takes him way back there to the hill that looks like an ant hill, and puts him down there. And he's telling that little guy, he said, you know, this is the place where I found you. Somewhere there is your mother, somewhere there is your father, somewhere there is your aunt, and somewhere there is your uncle. And so what you do about that now is your own affair. And he flew away, leaving me there, wondering, what did he mean by somewhere there is my mother, my father, my aunt, and my uncle? Thinking of that just made me sleepy, and I just laid right down there and went to sleep. And some other day I'll tell you what happened when I woke up.
Oh. Delightful.